Thank you, everyone, for being here today. We're thrilled to have so many people in the room to help us celebrate Black History Month. We have what I hope is a fantastic evening lined up. We have 2 panels hosted by our amazing moderator, Samaya, and we'll also be having a fantastic discussion with my colleague Victoria, with an incredible author, Mary. So by way of introduction, my name is Michaela, and along with my colleague, Emanuela, who's at the back of the room, we are the co-leads for the Early Careers workstream of the Black Professionals Resource Group. And our aim for this community really is to achieve, inspire, and just learn from one another. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Samaya. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. It is wonderful to see so many familiar faces and so many new faces as well. So for those of you who haven't been to Barclays before, welcome. We are absolutely thrilled to have you here, and welcome to this evening's fantastic event, which is all about our guest speakers here. My name is Smaya. I have been at Barclays for about 3 years. I've had various different roles, and my role at the moment is working for a space which is called COOP, Chief Operating Office. So as we go through, you'll probably see our roles are quite nebulous, which means that it kind of encompasses lots of different things. So we're going to find out more about these wonderful colleagues that we've got here. So with us today, we have Jay. Hello.
Hi.
We have Nana.
Hello, everybody.
And we have Anne-Marie.
Hi, everyone.
So I think a really good place to start this evening's session is just to ask you guys to tell us a little bit about the overview of your careers at Barclays. Anne-Marie, maybe we can start with you.
It's a bit long, no pressure. So I've been in Barclays for 20 years. I started...
You would never think it.
Lots of surprises here, but so started my career in Barclays 20 years ago. Started in a branch in Bayswater as a cashier. Probably throughout Barclays, probably last 13 years worked in retail banking. And then I kind of decided I wanted a bit of a career in Barclays and kind of wanted to jump to do something a little bit different. So I decided to go to business banking. And I've been in business banking for the last 7 years. And now my current role, which I'm a lending specialist support leader, basically within business banking now.
All right, so with my journey into Barclays, I've been here 9 years in total, nearly a decade, 9.5 to be exact. The way I stumbled into Barclays is I actually had a mother that used to work for the company also. So essentially she worked with Anne-Marie as well, funny enough, and actually referred me to the bank. And honest truth, when I first got referred to the bank, I had major imposter syndrome. Reason being is that I studied English lit at university. So, you know, people have this saying of you're either English or maths, essentially, when you go to college. And I was definitely English all the way. And so when my mum essentially even came up with the suggestion of me joining Barclays, I thought she was crazy. And honestly, I tried to start talking her out of it. But I ended up starting in the Piccadilly Circus within... in 2014, I started as what was then a cashier known as an essential banker. So I worked with a couple of colleagues that are also in the room today, became a personal banker. The roles changed names a lot, but to keep it simple, I worked as a personal banker. Then I got headhunted to move into our business banking department. And even then, again, I was a bit hesitant, but decided to make the move. Became a relationship manager during COVID-19. So my job at that point was to actually manage relationships with customers that I couldn't meet, which was excellent. We will get into a later point. I moved into our head office, the building you're in currently, in employee communications, did a bit of time in marketing, and currently I sit as a propositions manager, which is involving essentially running events, communications, an amalgamation of a lot of different skills.
Wonderful, thank you. Jay?
So I've actually been with Barclays for about 13 months. So I don't have the 9+ experience, so I can't really advertise that. But effectively, I actually got rejected from Barclays, I think, when I applied for the grad scheme when I started off my career. So I joined Santander's investment bank instead, and then spent about 8-9 years in the market, basically doing what I do, which is capital markets, looking at structuring, debt advisory and financing renewable projects, both in the UK and Europe. And then last year got headhunted into coming to join Barclays.
Wonderful, thank you. Nana, I want to pick up on something you said, which is, I think, something a lot of us experience, and that was imposter syndrome. So, for those of you who may or may not know what imposter syndrome is when you are completely capable of doing something, but your brain tells you that you're not. So, I think that's kind of the summary for it. So, you mentioned imposter syndrome, but you also mentioned the fact that you had a network that kind of got you into Barclays. Could you maybe talk to us a little bit about how that network helped you get into Barclays?
Yeah, I'm sure. So the network that I had, both externally and internally, helped a lot because they saw basically latent potential inside me that I didn't see in myself. And it might sound cheesy or cliche to say that, but essentially, a lot of the time, life in general will teach you a lot of soft skills that you need to be able to do roles. Even when I went to university because I'm from a Ghanaian background, and anybody that is from the west coast of Africa will know that your parents are not going to give you an option in regards to going to uni. So I went to university, but I learned a lot of soft skills there that helped me in my career. And essentially, I had a lot of soft skills that I needed to do the roles that I've done that within me that I didn't see within myself. And it took mentors internally or people that I liaise with outside to give me that self-belief.
Thank you. And Anne-Marie, I know that networking has played quite an important role for you as well. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about how that's influenced you.
I think, as Nana said, I know Nana's mum, so a bit strange sitting next to Nana now. I know
That's some of my best behaviour.
Definitely behave yourself. But what I would say is that I think definitely my career in Barclays, probably my early years, I didn't really see the potential in networking, probably because at that time I probably wasn't really looking for a career as a single mother. So I was quite happy doing the job I was doing. But when I was ready to make the transition into business banking, someone always used to say to me, what's your brand like? If I went to another part of the bank, in business, does anyone know you anywhere else? And I didn't really see the potential in what does that mean until I started looking for another job. And so then I started to realise, actually, the more people you know, the more people you connect with, that's kind of your bread and butter. Because they're the ones that are going to come and tap you on the shoulder when there is a job vacancy there. Not potentially whilst you see it on the job board or, that's too late. So for me, networking, so events like this, LinkedIn, these are really, really important when you're trying to look for a career.
Wonderful, thank you. And Jay, as someone who's been at the bank for about 12 months, maybe you can tell us a little bit about how networking has kind of influenced or impacted your career.
I think networking is very important. I think if I look at my career today, knowing how to build relationships both internally and externally are very important. That saying of your net worth is your network is probably really true from my perspective as well. I find that the more you interact with people, especially outside of your immediate team, the more of a, call it brand culture or personal culture you have, and your personal brand. So your personal brand is very important, and how you interact with people and how you make people feel as well is actually very important as well. When you're networking with people, especially internally with Barclays, you have to maintain your brand, and you want that brand of yourself to speak volumes for you when you're not in the room, so that when you're not in the room and someone talks about you, they can speak positively about you. And that will go a long way for you in terms of your career, in terms of just people liking you. And maybe if you want to switch teams, you can do a secondment, you can do a job shadow into another team. They will ask someone about you, and they'll want to know how are you, how do you interact, things like that. So I think it's vitally important whether or not it's internal or external, because technically, without your network, there's always a ceiling, but with a good, strong network, there is no ceiling for you in terms of what you can achieve, from my perspective.
Amazing. And that phrase, your network is your net worth, is amazing. So yeah, keep that in mind. Can we talk a little bit about personal brand, actually? Because I think for some of our guests this evening, they might be at the cusp of creating that personal brand for themselves. Maybe if you guys can give a few hints and tips around how to create a good personal brand. Jay, you were on a roll. Should we start with you?
I think if you believe you're good at something, make that visible. Like, portray what you're good at. Be known for being that subject matter expert. Be known for being that person who has that distinct knowledge or that distinct experience in whatever it is you believe you're good at. Because if you believe that and you show that, others will buy into that belief as well and will buy into that vision. And that's how you show who your platform is, from my personal branding.
Brilliant, thank you. Nana?
So mine is actually quite simple, and I actually got this from an interview I watched. So I watched the Obama interview, and I thought I was getting ready for him to say something really profound. Well, he did. It was very profound and deep, but essentially, you know what I mean. I essentially expected something very scientific, and what he basically said was, in an organization or wherever you work, if it's government, if you're working in a corporate organization, you just want to be known as somebody that can simply get things done. Just literally be the person that can get stuff done. Because in a corporate company like here, or some of the other companies that I know are represented in the room, you'll have a lot of people that will have very scientific and detailed reasons why things can't get done, and why there's obstacles to certain things, and why you need there's grey matter with getting things signed off, etc. But being somebody that can literally take the complexity out of something and find a simple way to getting things done is probably the easiest way to get a personal brand.
Yes, very well said. And I have to say that Nana's been at the forefront and pioneering a lot of our internal initiatives as well. So I know he's kind of probably going, don't say anything. But this idea of being the person that gets things done, he is very much living that mantra. Making him shy now. And Anne-Marie, how about you?
I think when I think about brand and kind of maybe my own experience, what's got me through kind of and maybe being remembered is just making sure that have those connections, follow up with people. They'll always remember you for that. So don't be flaky, I guess. If you're going to commit to something, do it. Because as I said, people will remember you for that. But also, I think, look, having lots of different people in different departments that know, different things, that's a really good thing. Coming to networking events like this, as I've said before, going to different departments, if you're thinking about like finding another role, get interested in the team that are actually doing that role. Find out about those people, because they will remember you at the end of the day.
Wonderful, thank you. There are some brilliant little nuggets there. So Barclays is a huge organisation. It's massive. It can feel quite overwhelming. Do you have any hints and tips on how to navigate this beast when you're looking for an opportunity? Nana, let's start with you.
Yeah. It requires a bit of extra work, but what I feel will always work in your favour is if you actually have an area that you're interested in, and you might not necessarily have the experience in to reach out to that someone in that team or a hiring manager, not just a coffee chat, but you actually want to reach out and ask maybe a question along the lines of what they're struggling to deal with in terms of a day-to-day, any sort of additional tasks that their teams struggle to deal with. Even offer, if you have the capability to, and have the arrangement to actually do a bit of extra work within their business unit and show them that you're capable of doing the role. Because a lot of the time, a lot of people might see a job description and you see a lot of the criteria that's on there, and you might get that imposter syndrome feeling and feel like you're not ready for the position. But I feel like if you can literally demonstrate to a hiring manager that you're proactive and willing to actually take on tasks and not just learn or hear about the role, but actually try your hand at some of the things that they do on a day-to-day, it definitely leaves a good lasting impression.
Wonderful, thank you. Anne-Marie?
Definitely off the back of what Nana just said, I think I was having this conversation with someone today because we've got some hiring going on at the moment, and I guess what stands out to me if I'm hiring someone is, have they contacted me before that job vacancy's gone out? Because by the time the job vacancy's gone out, it's a little bit too late. It's kind of just showing that your interest is there, as Nana just said, reaching out to the team, seeing what you can do off the side of your desk. But also, don't be afraid. I think there's a lot of the time in my career, I've been knocked back so many times, I've thought, what's the point? You've got to be resilient. I think have a look back. If you get knocked back, don't be afraid to ask for feedback. Don't be afraid to ask what you could have done better. And take that with you And don't be afraid to think outside the box. There's many a time I've not got a job and I've just gone elsewhere to find it and I've got it. So sometimes you have to look outside the circle that you're in. And again, we go back to networking as well. That's pretty much how you do it. That's pretty much how I guess that most of us have done it.
Can I just say something off the back of that? So one of the ways that I got one of my roles when I actually made a switch from coverage when I was serving customer facing to head office was that I reached out to the director of the communications team, and I had a degree in English literature, but I was in a position where I'd been working in a branch for like about 5 years, so I couldn't demonstrate how I actually essentially contributed to communications. But I literally contacted the hiring manager and I sent him my dissertation. And literally, that was what got me the job. Because basically, the recruiter, because essentially when you go through an application process, you essentially go through the recruiter looks at your CV and experience, and then if they feel like you pass that sieve, then you get to the hiring manager. I'll tell you the honest truth, the recruiter actually gave me a phone call, told me that they felt like I had the potential, but unfortunately wasn't going to get passed through. And so the hiring manager then contacted me and said, "Oh, I haven't seen your application. What is the latest with your application?" He actually informed me that I didn't get through, and he then actually made the decision to interview me anyway. And then essentially, when I then got the job, I thought it was a prank call because I got a call from him at like. Honestly, I got a call from him at like 8 a.m. in the morning. I didn't used to be the most, I didn't used to like mornings, but I got a call from him at 8 in the morning and thought, what are you talking about? And it took me a while, and then actually when I realized that I actually passed the interview, in shock. But yeah, it was because of the fact that I'd taken a proactive step to reach out and make and network and show them that I had the soft skills for that role, and it's slightly different, unorthodox way than the norm, but I reached out nonetheless.
Amazing, thank you. And Jay, how about you?
I'll echo what they both said. I think you have to be proactive in terms of what you want. I think you have to, like Nana said, you have to know what you want, right? I think when I look at myself and my team, when I'm recruiting for junior roles, and I'm looking at grads or interns, or I look at people's hunger, people's willingness to work, people's interest. I think, being here for 12 months, everyone loves a coffee chat in Barclays. I'll get teams or emails saying, "Can I have a coffee chat to find out what your team does?" Or, "I heard about your team, I did blah, 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 can we meet?" And I'm very receptive to do that. Because for me, that shows that you're interested. It shows to me you're active. I can see a willingness to actually want to know more, and that's how you actually build the relationships, right? We talk about your network, because then the next time you have a role available, you're already thinking about those people you already had a coffee chat with, and they should be applying as well. And that's how you do it. You just have to be keen to show what it is what you want, and be hungry for it as well, because at the end of the day, no one's going to do it for you. And something that Michael, who's one of the panelists as well, he's my mentor, said to me, if you don't say something, your line manager will never know. And when you don't get it, how is he meant to know you ever wanted it? So don't assume someone's going to want to do the best for you or has the best interest for you. You have to be proactive. You have to actually say, "I want this. Can you help facilitate this for me? Can you help open doors for me? Can you help reach out to someone for me that will benefit me in terms of my long-term career?" And last thing I would add as well that I think Barclays is actually really good at is the employees resource groups, the ERGs that Barclays have, and I'm sure other organizations will have it as well. I think going to their events and reaching out to people in there, because that's the first thing I did when I actually joined Barclays last year. I reached out to, I asked my friend who I knew worked at Barclays, I said, "Who's the president of BPRG?" So I could actually get to know all the black people within Barclays as well. I actually started to build networks and, have some friends within Barclays, I guess. And that's a good way to reach out to people, to actually know the different parts of the bank. Because Barclays is huge. We have so many teams. We have so many divisions. No one knows what anyone does. There's a lot of titles, a lot of things. So the more you interact with people and you reach out to people, that's when you start to know more about the organization and more about people.
Thank you. And I should say that everything that our panelists have said for internal contacts, I think you can translate into doing if you're not within Barclays. So using LinkedIn and these sort of events to build your networks. It's not something solely that is kind of about internal networks. And Anne-Marie, you talked about building resilience which I think is very, very important. Can you maybe tell us a little bit about how you have navigated through rejections?
So I think probably the most devastating time, if I say devastating, I'm a bit dramatic, but I'd probably say that when I was trying to make my career switch from retail to business, that was probably the biggest jump, having to do that. But it wasn't initially getting the first job I got to go into business banking, which I was a small business manager, so a bit like a relationship manager who used to have a portfolio of clients she used to look after. It was navigating my way onwards from there. So I found it the more difficult and higher up you went, the more difficult it was to try and get that job role. So I think when I went from a small business manager role, I went into a more junior role as a relationship manager. I, was doing the job, felt like I was doing everything I needed to do, was ticking all the boxes, got really good end of the year reviews, and then I thought, right, I think it's time to move on. I think it's time to apply for that promotion, and I got rejected. And it came out of nowhere. Actually, I actually thought I was going to get this job, and I took a step back and I thought, okay, maybe it's just not my time at the moment. I tried to get as much feedback as I could have done. I thought, okay, give this a try, give it another 6. You have to wait 6 months before you can realise. I thought I'd do everything I need to do to try and, get the experience that I need. And I reapplied after 6 months and I didn't get the job again. And at that point, I thought, right, what is it? What have I missed? What is it I'm not doing? And I realised what it was. I just alluded to it earlier. I was just thinking within this box of a team that I used to work in. And I thought, why am I just looking within this space? There's relationship managers all over the country. I don't have to stay here. So I started to build my network. I started to go out and network a lot. I started to meet people. And I got to know a manager that worked in another area and got talking. And then a few months down the line, there was a job role that came up. So that I think you might be quite good for this job role. To be honest, at this point, I thought, I'm just going to give it a go, but it's probably going to be a no anyway, but I'm going to give it my best. And I applied and I got that job. And I've never looked back since. And so what I would say is that, yes, you will go through really tough times and, sometimes you might get criticism that you're probably not gonna, you're not gonna see coming, but take it, I think listen to it, but also, I think just expand that a little bit further. Don't keep yourself within a space that you feel comfortable, make yourself uncomfortable and go and look for those jobs elsewhere. If someone doesn't want you there, someone else will have you, I can guarantee it.
Beautifully said, thank you very much. Nana, how about you? So building resilience and sort of dealing with rejection.
Yeah, so I think my personal saying to that is you need to get comfortable being uncomfortable. So I'll give you an example. My current position is a proposition delivery manager. So I work in a part of the bank on the people that so we basically are in Barclays UK business banking. And we've just been awarded this large government grant and we're essentially going around the country supporting businesses UK-wide. We've appointed a advisory board of colleagues that are essentially like very senior, either ex-official or Barclays or that CEO or director of their own company. So I've got one of my first ever meeting was in Glasgow, so I turned up into this meeting and essentially I was very confident to go and I heard this level of discussion that was going around the table and I honestly sat there and I thought, what am I doing here? What am I going to say that's going to sound profound? And then again, I was sat there thinking for about 5 minutes, I don't know how I'm going to enter into this conversation and say something that's going to sound really profound. But then essentially I kept it very simple, I gave essentially an overview of the project I was working on at the time. And in all honesty, that really did just calm my nerves. I saw a few nodding heads and I thought, okay, cool, I'm okay. But honestly, it's really, and obviously it's true, like, when you get around people, and you need to try and always challenge yourself to be around people that are a lot more intelligent, even older, slightly more mature and established in yourself. And it will feel super uncomfortable at first, but then when you get used to doing that, you end up really building your resilience and confidence up. So put yourself in as many situations that make you uncomfortable as possible. And I know that you'll deal with imposter syndrome, you'll make mistakes as well. So be ready for that. Be ready to make mistakes. But then look at it more as a learn than loss. And always just really make sure that so for example, if you approach anyone of us or the other second panel to come, always have it in your mind as well that you are the one that's going to score the goals in your own life. So a lot of networking events I've been to, I've met a lot of people that are really ambitious, but then expect you to put them in a position that they can then leverage off. You need to basically have it in your mind that any one of us can only provide you an assist. You're the one that needs to score the goal. That basically you need to really be in it to win it and really put yourself in uncomfortable situations.
Thank you so much. And Jay, how about yourself?
So as I said, I got rejected by Barclays. When I applied for the grad scheme, I actually can't remember why I got rejected, but it's one of those things get rejected. And I think I remember saying to myself, I will get them back one day. I think that's quite personal. But what I would also say is, I feel like it's okay to actually get rejected, and you should be okay with that, because sometimes I think that as human beings, we believe that we should get it right there and then, we should get that promotion then, we should get that job then. Sometimes it may not be the right time for you, or you may just need an extra 6 months and 12 months, but it may not be the right job for you. And it's okay to accept that. I think you have to be strong, you have to be able to navigate through difficult times, but have that strong mentality and have that focus on what is your goal, what is your long-term goal, how can you reach it. Everyone's always in this race to get up the ladder very quick. Sometimes you may need to go left, you may need to go right, you need to go side, you need to go back sometimes before going forward again, and that's okay. At the end of the day, it's your race. No one else is in the race for you, you're racing yourself. I've had, apart from the initial Barclays one, I think I got turned down for a promotion at my last organisation, in which maybe it was due to the fact of what I was told was that they had to give it to the person because his father was head of something in South America, so head of another business in South America, so maybe it might have been that. However, don't always let that be what defines you. I kind of feel that you have to put that aside and say, okay, fine. What was the reasons why I didn't get a job? What was the reasons why I didn't get a promotion? If you agree with those reasons, and even if you don't agree with those reasons, right, work on what they said, but also work on what you believe you need to focus on more, because then you get the next opportunity, you should tick all the boxes. And actually, you might get rejected again, but it's fine to get rejected again, and that's the honest truth, because it might not be the right time for you. And actually, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years down the line, when you are where you want to be, and you feel to yourself, actually, those rejections actually helped me, because those jobs I wanted weren't the jobs for me. I actually wanted to do something different. That's when you can sit back and smile about it. So I sit here smiling that I'm here now, so but it's fine.
We are so happy you're here with us, finally.
One point to what you said, a good way to think about, if you ever get rejected for a job, and we all have to, one good way to think about things as well is think about when you're applying, think from a lens of what can I do that any other applicant won't do. And like I said this in many problems before, away from even a businessman, a businessman is something that I would say probably about 8% of people won't do, but a simple 30, 60, 90 days with 5 bullet points underneath each of them. But for example, what I did as well, and I've seen other colleagues do that work really well, is for example, with my current role proposition, I was doing a lot of stuff with like a lot of our branches, doing local events and supporting leaders, and I thought, I'm getting into a role that's going to require me to do events on a national scale. So I built up a small PowerPoint presentation of every single event I've done, every testimonial that I've given, every sort of positive bit of feedback from a senior leader, and I packaged that up and sent it through as an example of stuff that I've done. So that's more so for an events role, but you might work in data and analytics, and you might have done, you might have modeled some particular projects or done something revolutionary to change our particular business area works. There's no harm in modeling that into some sort of simple, easy, just case study and showing your future hiring manager that. Because a lot of our I think it's a lot of that. So always think from a lens of what can I really do to make sure that when I need that interview, that person's still thinking about me.
That's wonderful, thank you. And I think everything that you guys have said has really been talking to having your own voice in that process. So I think my final question to you guys is, for this wonderful group of people here, how would you encourage our friends here and our colleagues to really vocalise their perspective, their opinions, without being labelled as overly challenging or overly difficult? Anne-Marie, should we start with you?
I think sometimes it's reading the room, isn't it? I think there's always a way to say something, and I think most of the time, I think we've obviously worked for Barclays, and I think there's lots of different opinions that you'll have, but I think sometimes it's just reading the room, listening. I think listening to other people's opinions is important. You know, I think just reading kind of the situation you're in. That's how I kind of say it. There's nothing wrong with vocalising what you want to say. Sometimes it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So sometimes I think just have a think about what it is you want to say, maybe try and vocalise it in the best way possible, that other people are going to maybe understand. That's kind of how, when it's quite a challenging conversation, always listen to that person. Ask questions. No one's ever going to, have a go at you for asking a question off some of the back of what they're saying. But I think also just try and understand where someone else is coming from, but also don't be afraid to have your opinion also. So I think people will respect you in a way.
Wonderful, thank you. Nana, how about you?
Yeah, I'll summarize that idea. An emotional intelligence. You need to basically know sometimes when to agree to disagree, or because again, in an organisation, you might, as a junior colleague, have an idea or an innovative way of doing something that is technically right, but then in the hierarchy, you're not in a position to make that decision. So sometimes as well, you've got to have emotional intelligence. You've got to essentially be willing to bide your time and just wait for an opportunity. Sometimes you essentially have to take a long road. Is essentially what I'm saying. You've got to put what you're thinking into action and actually demonstrate by doing rather than telling. Because at the end of the day, despite the fact that, for example, even here we have great cultures, but we're an organisation with great cultures, but you still need to have that respect for your line manager. There's even a saying in the 48 laws of power to never outshine the master. And that's basically, you don't ever want to be in a position where you're making your line manager feel like you're trying to make them obsolete. And so you always need to basically make sure that you respect authority at the end of the day. Even if you've got a good working relationships with people, you always have to understand that there's different nuances and cultures, there's different ways that people perceive things. The perception is a big thing as well. Because there's been many times, even in my own career, where I've just gone ahead and done something and thought, that's an amazing idea, but then the perception of it in regards to how it might be deemed from to somebody in a separate department. If I'm doing events and there's an actual events team and I'm not consulting them on their specialism, is again something that's going to rear up a few heads. So you need to make sure that even if your intentions are pure, you always check on what you're intending to do before you make that decision.
That's wonderful. And actually the book that Nana just mentioned is the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. It's a good book. Jay?
I would add, or I wouldn't repeat what they said, because I think what they said is pretty spot on. What I would say is, I think that what I found especially in Barclays, is sort of like culture, right? And having the right culture enables people to have a voice. It allows you to be able to speak confidently to your colleagues, be professional about how you come across and be approachable. I think having the right culture within your teams, because especially in what I do, I might always believe I'm the smartest person in the team. However, I do listen to, whether it's people below me, in terms of like juniors, because you can learn from them. You can learn from anyone, whether they're a senior or whether they're junior to you, right? We all come from different backgrounds, and we can all bring a different way of thinking, different way of analysing things, and a different way of accepting the outcome. And we're able to communicate that effectively, but also take things from people that, I hate to say this, but from a hierarchy of grade-wise, it makes you a better person, because it means you're a good listener, and it actually means that you're not trying to be a dictator or whatever, that you actually encourage people to speak to you about different things, and that way it makes you a better person as well.
Yeah. So, that's a really good point, because, for example, And I'll give you a real life example. So I worked in the branch network, and I saw how customers interacted with our market on a day-to-day basis. So when I went into the marketing team, I thought, I've worked in the branch, I understand what customers want, why are you not listening to me? And in all honesty, I had to realize that customers are a main stakeholder, but then the more senior you get in a position, and the more experience you have, work with a variety of different stakeholders. So for example, to get a marketing ad live, you need to work with the agency, you need to get internal sign-offs from numerous different teams in order to get literally a concept from on paper down to what you see on the TV screen. So essentially, I had to go through, essentially get that experience and that exposure to that particular industry and have a senior company talk through that process to learn that you might have an idea like a way at one point at the start of the start of your project, but then it might turn around completely different from what you ended up envisioning because of the amount of different litigations and processes you need to go through. So a lot of the time, as a junior colleague, you might get frustrated because you have the belief that you've got the core understanding of how something should work, but you also understand that there's a lot of complexity in an organisation, which is why our heads of the team are always trying to push the simplicity and stuff that we're working on.
That is wonderful, Anne-Marie, Nana Jay. Thank you so much for your wisdom. In summary, I think what we have had is don't listen to your imposter syndrome. That's bad. Really create your own voice, creating networks, and really understand what that personal brand is that you want to create. What is it that you're representing? And just be very articulate and have your own voice and have your own perspective in showing that to the outside world. So thank you so much. I think we have one question. We might have some questions in the audience. We've got time for one question. We've got loads of questions. Who's got the mic? Would you like my mic?
I can just click my voice.
Yeah.
Hi everyone, thank you for your time just now. I have a question. Name the J, I would say. So you said that Barclays is a place of coffee chats, right? Which it is. In those coffee chats, what would you want to see from somebody who would want to possibly work with you in the future?
Jay, and just say that again, just in case people didn't hear it at the back. So the question or the statement was that Barclays is a culture of coffee chats, which is very true. And the question to Jay is, what attributes would you like to see in someone who you might want to employ in the future?
So, are we talking about like a grad, intern, associate? Okay. I think in terms of what my team does, we're very technical in terms of like, there's a lot of financial analysis and modelling. I wouldn't expect that from someone coming in new, junior, to know that, or to have that experience, or have that skill set yet. That's something we can teach you. You can learn on the job. What I'm looking for is the right attitude, the attitude to learn, the willingness to want to learn. If you ask for a coffee chat, I would hope you do some research about what we do, talk to me about what we do, ask questions about what we do. Actually show that you are hungry and you want to be that person that when I have a role available, I think, okay, that person actually surprised me in terms of what they were trying to achieve for that coffee chat. I would say to everyone, don't sugarcoat why you're asking for a coffee chat, just tell me what it is. Straight away, let's just have our open floor. And yeah, just let me know how passionate you are about trying to join my team, or even if it's not my team, trying to join another team. Why you join that team? What are the reasons? What drives you towards that team? And if you can show that from your actions and how you speak and how you come across, I'm pretty sure that person will definitely at one point get a chance.
Wonderful, thank you. And I think that's all we've got time for. So from me and from everyone, Anne-Marie, Nana, and Jay, thank you very much.